Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pageant Sit Down. My name's Regina Lena, and I am so excited for all of you to be here today. Whether you're from the pageant world, the gaming world, or the cosplaying world, I'm sure you're all here to meet our very special guest. I met her back in 2019, and I am so excited for her to be joining us today. She is none other than I'm going to get this wrong, Ms. Atlantic Provinces North America 2021 to 2022, Kristina Gillis. Hi, Kristina.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, thank you for joining me, and thank you for bringing three worlds into one: pageantry, gaming, and cosplay. I love it.
Yes, I try to mix them all.
I love it. And I tried to get it in as well with your thumbnail because I could not post that picture of you all dressed up. But Kristina, I've known you for a few years now, but there's some people who may not know who you are. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as Regina said, I am Kristina. I'm 30 years old, and I'm from the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia. I started competing when I was about 14, actually, in local pageants here, and just grew from there. When I was 20, I took about 7 years off, and then at 27, I came back into it and haven't really stopped since.
I love it. Okay, so you took some time off. What were you doing in between? Is this kind of when you stepped into cosplay, or was it just living your life?
It was a mix of both. So the cosplay didn't actually start until about a year or two before I started competing again. I suffer from some mental health issues. So when I was about 20, I kind of decided that I needed to just take a step back and focus on myself, focus on my mental health, and really work on becoming who I want to become. And I think I accomplished that because I, for once in my life, wasn't hiding anything about myself. I was able to open up about all of the nerdy stuff that I'm into, and the gaming and the cosplay. Well, I actually heard about a local convention here, and I'd always wanted to try it. It's called HalCon. It's in Halifax every October usually, and so I decided to go. Wasn't sure about dressing up, and then last minute went as Catwoman. Just I threw it together out of my closet. So the picture that you have is vastly improved. I threw it together out of my closet, and I've never felt so accepted in my life. It was amazing, and I just fell in love with it after that.
I love that. You know, I get that. I hear that a lot from people who do cosplay, where they try to hide this quote nerdy side of them, but the minute they dress up and go into something like Comic-Con or Anime North, which is here in Toronto, they just say that they feel so accepted. They're like, my brother's into it as well, and he's like, I've never been in a place where I was just accepted for who I am or who I'm dressed as, and I think that's amazing.
It's a really, really great atmosphere to be in, and I am so sad that they've been canceled. I can't wait for them to start back up.
Well, hopefully soon, now that things are starting to open up. You mentioned you're in Nova Scotia. What is it like there with this pandemic? I know you guys were in a bubble and then you're in lockdown. What is it like now?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, I think we all went into lockdown similar to the rest of the country. And then as things started to improve, we created our Atlantic bubble with New Brunswick, PEI, and Newfoundland and Labrador. And then that eventually burst. The bubble burst. We started getting more cases and our bubble burst. And we went back into kind of a small lockdown right before Christmas. I ended up working from home again around that time. And then after Christmas, things started to seem to improve again. But then I think it was March. Yeah, it was in March. It really ramped up, especially here in Nova Scotia. New Brunswick seemed to be doing a lot better than what they were. The rest of the Atlantic bubble was doing a lot better, but Nova Scotia got hit pretty hard. And that was the first time since everything began that we really got hit that hard. But now things are starting to open back up over the last couple of weeks, and the bubble's back open, and we're allowing other provinces into our province now. There are rules, though, I think, with how long they have to isolate based on if they're vaccinated or not.
Well, I'm glad to know that I can finally visit Nova Scotia. I've never been to Eastern Canada, and
Yeah,
I feel like
beautiful.
I feel like I now know enough people that it is worth going and making a trip, mostly from meeting everyone at Galaxy. But speaking of Galaxy and meeting people, you and your best friend, Amanda, actually connected through pageantry. What has that been like?
So we have known each other actually for about, oh, like 11 or 12 years. We've
Oh,
known
wow.
each other. We've competed in the same systems, just at different times. So we have a local pageant here. It is part of our Apple Blossom Festival. So each community I live in the Annapolis Valley. So each community within the Annapolis Valley has their own princess. So she was princess of her town about 2 years before I was princess of my town.
Oh, wow.
So we met the year I was princess of my town, but at that point I was still quite young. I was 18 or 19, and she's a few years older than me. So then we were at different points in our life. And then I started volunteering with my town's local pageant, the Gala Day pageant, and she was at one of the teas that we have. We have these princess teas where if they're exactly what they sound like, the white gloves and everything.
I love that.
So she was at one of the teas as a guest. She had started competing again, and she asked me if I was still competing, and I said I wasn't. And then I make decisions pretty quickly, and I'm quite rash sometimes. So she told me I needed to compete with her, and I didn't know what I was looking at because she was a big ball of pink sparkling glitter, and I am not that way at all.
Very Amanda.
I was like, crazy. Who are you? I knew who she was, but she had never talked to me that much. So, but she convinced me. I went home that night and I signed up for the Maritime International pageant, and then her and I went to that together. She won the Miss Nova Scotia title, and I was actually her runner-up to that.
Oh, wow.
And then the rest is history.
I love that. Well, you guys are very close at Galaxy, and I know you're still very close now. We were actually supposed to have her on with you today, but that's okay. We'll have her on a different time. Her journey is also very interesting, and I do want to get her on the show, but we're here with you today. But Amanda does have a question on Instagram, and I'm going to ask you, so it's like she's here in spirit.
Yes.
Her question is, why did you first become involved with cosplaying, and what do you love most about it?
I think I might have answered this mostly when we were first going over it. I've always loved Halloween, so that's what kind of sparked it. Halloween is my favorite time of year. It was the only time I really felt like I could dress up without being judged, actually. So my Halloween costumes were oftentimes pretty intricate, and I would always go really above and beyond for them. And when I was taking that time off and kind of really getting to know myself, and I heard about HalCon, I'd always wanted to go to HalCon, and figured, you know what, why not? And let's see what happens. And my favorite part about it would have to be the connection, similar to pageantry. Like there's a sisterhood that forms there, but at conventions as well, you make so many connections because there's so many different fandoms that you can find people who are into so much of the same stuff you are.
Yep, that's so true. I never looked at putting them together, but it makes sense. I mean, you get dolled up for both, you wear a lot of makeup for both, and you form friendships and connections. I love that. I never thought about it that way.
So actually, when I started competing, one of my big things, when I was really young and I was competing at 14, pageants were a lot more of like the stereotype that people will talk about back then. Like they're a lot different now, and I'm very pleased with how much they have grown and evolved into what they are now. But back then they weren't, and I was very young and I fell under a lot of pressures. So my thing was, if I'm going to compete again, I'm going to go into it and just do me. And if they like me, they like me. If they don't, they don't. So I actually cosplayed twice at the Maritime North America pageant, or Maritime International pageant, sorry.
Wow.
Cosplayed twice for talent, and I dressed up as a Little Mermaid and sang Part of Your World.
I love that.
On stage, we had this fashion segment where I did a Audrey Hepburn version of Catwoman is my main cosplay, so I did an Audrey Hepburn version of her.
That is so cool. Okay, I need to find pictures of you doing that because That's wild to me.
Yeah, I don't have it on my social medias, but I'll see if I can dig some up.
Okay, perfect. Well, going back to social media and the questions that I got on Instagram, a question that I got here is, how did you get started in pageants?
So, okay, you're gonna be the first time I've actually said this answer out loud.
Ooh,
It's not my typical answer. I try to make my answer a little more.
pageanty.
So when I was 14 and when I was 14 and I found out about our local gala day pageant, so the one I volunteered with where I reconnected with Amanda, that was my very first one I ever competed in. And the reason I started to compete was because one of my friends came and after she competed had a bunch of really cool gifts she was giving. And I wanted to get that too. So I signed up the next year. I was all over that. Like they had some Mary Kay makeup. I think there was a gift basket for tears. It was a lot of stuff. So I signed up the next year. But that's what got me started. That's what put the interest in my little 14-year-old brain. But when I actually competed, and like I said, they call us princesses. So I was a local princess for my gala days competition, and all of the children know us as the princesses. And I was walking down the road and these little girls came running up to me and yelled, "Princesses!" And I was hooked. I'm doing this.
I love that. Okay, first off, they're calling you princesses, and now a few years later, you start doing cosplay. That's so crazy. But I actually love your answer and saying you just wanted the free stuff and the prizes, because that is a typical 14-year-old. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the same way. I'm like, oh, you're going to give me free stuff? Sign me up.
Yeah. And of course, as I got older, I learned about how you can work with your platform and stuff, and it gives you a wider outreach to help connect with other people with various charity events and things that you might want to do to help the world that you normally might not get the chance to.
Well, it's funny because you're easy to segue into the questions on Instagram, because the other question from Instagram is, what is your platform and how do you promote it?
So I have gone back and forth a lot with my platform. It's still kind of an evolving door. I'm somebody who wants to, this is going to sound corny, I'm somebody who wants to save the world.
I love that.
Probably why I dress up like superheroes. I'm somebody who wants to save the world. So when I think I have one cause picked, I see another cause and I'm like, well, no, I want to do that, but I want to do this and I want to do that. So I by accident kind of stumbled across, I made a hashtag. My middle name is Grace, and I made a hashtag called Fearless at Grace, and it was very much about just helping to promote each of the different things that I was interested in. Mental health is a big one for me, and so I would speak a lot about mental health, and also the fact about no matter what you do in life, always be your authentic self. So that's another thing I speak a lot about. And so this hashtag I kind of created, I was in a coffee shop one day and somebody mentioned to me that they seen it, and it just kind of started from there. So I have tried to put everything under this one Fearless at Grace umbrella. I'm still working on it, still trying to make it grow, but I'm hoping I can tighten it up soon, because I'm all over the place right now. I want to help everybody.
No, and that's 100% okay. I'm the same way. I mean, and you're not the only one as well. There have been people on the show who talk about having different causes for their platform, because it's true. You want to save the world, or there's so many different amazing causes out there that to just stick to one doesn't always fit everyone. So I think that's normal. I think that's great. I'm the same way. I can name you all the other guests who have said it too. So I think that's awesome. I do apologize if you hear raindrops. It sounds like a storm is coming here in Toronto. So
that's all right.
Adding to the ambiance of our show. Let's. So Elizabeth Marnock is here. She says, "Hello, ladies." Hi, Elizabeth. And to all those who are watching, I know there are a few of you here. Hello, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, whether it be about pageantry, cosplay, or gaming that you'd like to ask Kristina, be sure to ask below in the live chat because I'd love to ask her. So Kristina, you've been doing pageants since you were 14. What is it about pageantry that brought you back after your not long, but your pause?
Honestly, Amanda was a big part in that. I didn't think I would go back. I had been volunteering with the Gala Day pageant for a couple of years at that point, and you get the pageant bug. So I was around that, and I was helping the girls, and I was getting the bug a little bit, and I think Amanda just kind of came back into my life at the right time where that bug was really starting to climb a little bit. And I researched the pageants that we were competing in. I decided, okay, at least I have somebody I know I can go with, and I'm just going to be myself and do what I can to just stay true to my authentic self. And after that experience and me cosplaying on stage was received so well, that just kept me on going.
I love that. I think it's great that you're able to come back as your authentic self. And I think that's something that's really important, especially when being on stage. I tell all my students that all the time, please just be yourself and have fun. So I think that's amazing that you look at your 14-year-old self and then transition her into who you are now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're actually almost at the halfway point, Kristina, and there is a segment on our show which is 5 tips from a beauty queen. And having all the experiences that you have had, what would be 5 tips that you'd give all of our viewers watching today?
All right. So the first one is know your system. Every system's different. So I've been in systems. Some have swim, some don't. Some have fitness. Some have both swim and fitness. You can choose. Some are more beauty based, where some are more personality based. So if you are somebody looking for a system that is more based on personality and your platform, you don't want to go into a system because your friend's going that is more beauty based, and then end up not enjoying yourself and being in a situation that you're just uncomfortable with. So know your system. Don't go into it blind. Practice. Definitely practice. I can't stress that one enough. Judges can tell the competitors who have practice versus not. And it really stands out the ones who have taken that time to really practice and train. If you think about it, this is like our sport. So a hockey player going for the Stanley Cup would not be going that far in that league without so much training and practice to get them there. So why should we be any different? And 3. So this is one that I've always really been a big fan of. Treat your title, no matter how big or small, as you would your job. At the end of the day, you're representing a system, and that system is a company. So you have the responsibility to them to represent properly. Don't make them regret giving you the crown. And once you win, the work doesn't stop. So this is one, and I've run into this a few times with the bigger systems. This one is very much true for local systems. You never know who the judges are or where they are. Sometimes before competition, they could even be looking at your social media, so act accordingly. I've been a judge before, and I have had the opportunity to do just that, where we have to look at the social medias of individuals. So you don't want to go and be posting pictures of yourself partying and then put them all over your social media and then have that image out there when you are representing. Again, you're representing a system, so you need to think about how you're going to represent them. Especially if you're in the teen division. And unfortunately, there have been times where I've judged and I have seen teens post some not so appropriate content. So watch your social media. You never know where the judges are. And so this one, everyone says this one, and this has been a theme kind of throughout our whole conversation, is be yourself. Judges can tell if you're not. So don't try to be what you think they want. You're never going to know what they want. So don't put too much pressure on that. That will ruin the experience for you.
Yes. And those are 5 amazing pageant tips. And what I like about your pageant tips and a lot of other people's tips is they're not just for pageantry. because you're right. Treat it as a job. Be careful what you post online, because one thing that I've always told people is if your grandma would want to see that on social media, be my guest and post it.
Exactly.
Well, Kristina, if people had other questions or wanted more tips from you, whether it be cosplay, pageantry, or gaming, where can they find you?
So you can go to my Instagram. It is Krissy Kat, KRISSYKAT __. On my Instagram, you'll find my link tree that has links to my Twitch, my Twitter, my Facebook page, and I think I put my TikTok on there, but I'm not really good at TikTok. I've just gotten started with that, so I still don't understand it very well.
Okay, perfect. Well, the links are actually down below. So the link tree as well as your Instagram are there. So make sure you go and follow her journey. She is on her way to competing next summer, right?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be going to Florida for the Miss North America. So fingers crossed that we actually get to go next year.
Well, I hope so, because if you do, then I get to go as well to my international pageant. But that's so exciting, having your new title, having something to look forward to, especially during this pandemic. I know it can be really hard, but for your title, your current title of Ms. Atlantic Provinces North America, was this pageant virtual or was it in person?
It was virtual. It was my first time doing a virtual competition, and so I was crowned last August. Our Canada North America system was putting out calls for across the country. We were trying to build up our Team Canada, so there was competitions. I think there was about 4 throughout the summer to crown everybody who could go with us to Florida. So I competed in August, and I'd never competed virtually before, so that was quite a different experience than what I'm used to. I would do it again, and I've actually, Jewel had a competition, the Grateful Givers, which was an amazing competition, and something like that is going back towards charity. That was a completely different experience. It was a lot more laid back, whereas this one I knew what I was going for, and I put a lot of pressure on myself with it, actually. So Jewel's pageant I had a lot more fun with that one. I was able to actually be a little more laid back. I was actually supposed to go to North America. So the year Amanda won her Miss Eastern Provinces title, I was competing in the Miss division, and I was runner up. So I was supposed to go the following year because I was runner up. I got a maritime title at that point.
Nice.
And of course things got canceled, and then I aged out, and then I was without a title. So when this opportunity came up, I jumped at it.
I love that. I love that you are still able to do the same pageants as Amanda, just at different timing. It's true. You guys do the same systems, just at different times.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
We're going together next year, and this time, because I've aged up, we'll be in the same division. So
well, there you
we'll
go.
Be competing.
Let's see who will win. Okay, no pressure. No, but you mentioned the virtual pageants. Again, your segues are great, because I was going to ask if you do it again. But you did a really good job at the Grateful Givers virtual pageant. I was a judge on the second day, so I didn't get to talk to you, but I was able to read your essays, and I think the great thing about a virtual pageant is, 1, we could judge in our pajamas, and 2, we get to connect with everyone around the country who decided to join Grateful Givers pageant, and you did great. So, I mean, if you wanted to do another virtual pageant, I mean, why not?
Yeah, I think the big difference too with the Grateful Givers one was a lot of it was live on we use Zoom, I think, over Zoom. So I didn't have a chance to go back and critique myself, similar as if I was on stage. But with the North America one, I pre-recorded all of my competition pieces, and so I would go back, watch it, and then shoot it again, shoot it, and so that made it a little more. I almost didn't like being able to watch myself.
But what was it like? Because I've never done a virtual pageant, and I always thought maybe it would work out to your benefit because you do get to watch yourself. But I guess you're right, because we are our biggest critiques, right? So I guess you're right. I answered my own question.
Yeah. But I mean, I think my videos were and it's because I had a chance probably to, even though I didn't like it, I had a chance to kind of go back and watch and reshoot if I needed to. So some of my performances were probably some of the best that I've ever done because of it.
That's amazing. Well, I'm wishing you all the best of luck for next summer. You're going to do us all proud. I already know that. And whatever ends up your way from now until then, a virtual pageant or two, who knows? But Kristina, you're also a gamer. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who, one, got into gaming because of the pandemic and they had nothing else to do, or two, they used to game, but because of the pandemic, they were able to reconnect. What is it like being a gamer? Because I don't play video games, but I'm so intrigued to know.
So I've always gamed ever since I was young. So I got really good at Guitar Hero when I was young, and I got very obsessed with it. And I can remember I used to stay home from school just to play Guitar Hero. It was bad. I was doing good in school, so I mean, it didn't affect my grades.
Yeah.
I would stay home and play Guitar Hero. It can be consuming though, depending what type of games you're into. So for myself, I'm into MMOs, which are multi-mass online games. And I don't know, do you know what World of Warcraft is?
Yes, I've heard of it. I don't know it, but I know of it.
That's an MMO, and it's this great big online world that it has its own ecosystem. It has its own it's got a huge map, and all the players are just in this world. So you create your character and you just kind of escape into this other world. So I like the MMOs for that reason, but it can become quite consuming.
I can only imagine. So you're also on Twitch. So do you stream your gaming?
I do, yeah. So I have recently started that. I'm still learning the ropes a bit. I started it actually to give a safe place for anybody who wanted to come and just really be themselves, or if they needed to talk about anything that they were struggling with. That's my main reason for starting it. And I also got to game at the same time, so people can hang out with me while I fumble my way through various dungeons and my games, and just be in a safe place and know that they're in a safe place where there's no judgment. So I don't have many followers yet. I don't have the camera, so you can't see me when I'm gaming. I don't have that set up yet, but I'm hoping soon to get that.
Okay, well, whenever that happens, we will all be watching. So make sure you all follow her on Twitch. Again, all of the links are in her link tree, so check that out after the show. I do want to connect you actually with my co-host on the other sit down with Scott Dion Brown, because he also got into gaming and he has this whole community of gamers from all around the world. So I would love, and a lot of them are a lot younger, so that they're teenagers and sometimes they just need to vent. So I would definitely love to connect the two of you. I know he's streaming now, so he's not watching the show, but when I talk to him, I'll be like, you need to connect with this person.
That would be so great. I would love that.
Will, don't worry. But what is it about gaming that gets you so consumed, I guess, and lost in the virtual world?
I'm competitive. So anyway, it is, once I reach one step and I level up to something, I need to go up and I need to just keep going. And I'll be starting, I'll start at like 7 o'clock, and then I'll level up, and then I'll look, and it'll be close to midnight, and I'll go, okay, just one more level. And then before I know it, it's like 3 in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I heard thunder. Yeah. Even the weather is going, oh my goodness. But no, that's so crazy. And I guess, with the pandemic too, having that network of people, your community of gamers also there with you, whether it be on Twitch or on your or I guess you do it on the computer, right? So your whole gaming system, it's a whole other experience. But have any of your, I guess, followers from cosplay jumped on board into your Twitch and followed you there?
I think I have a couple who have followed me there. I don't think they've been online though when I'm gaming, so they haven't been active in my chat, but there's a couple that are following me there. And a lot of them as well have their own Twitch channels, so I like to follow them when I can too.
So let's talk a little bit let's talk a little bit about cosplay. So we were talking about it a little bit before we went on, but I would love to get into some sort of cosplay at least once, just to be a Disney princess or to be someone like Sailor Moon. But what is the difference between cosplaying and dressing up for Halloween?
I mean, Halloween's once a year. So when there's not a pandemic, there's a lot of conventions around. Even here in Nova Scotia, we have quite a few. So where Halloween's once a year, you have your costume for that one night, but the conventions can last sometimes upwards to a week. And because there's so many, you're constantly preparing your lineup for whatever convention might be coming up. So for people who are really into it and do armor builds and stuff, they can put months into this armor.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So when you do say a week of cosplay, do you stick, because you were saying your character's more Catwoman, so do you stick with the Catwoman theme throughout the week, or do you change it up every now and then?
I try to change it up. It depends on the day too, because different days have different things going on. So if I have something that I have worked really hard on that I really want to make sure gets seen, I will tend to take that one out on usually the final day, at least around here, is when the competitions happen. Now I haven't entered in competition yet. I'm still a little nervous to do that, but that's when the competitions happen, and you'll see a lot of really cool cosplays that day. So I try to bring my big ones out that day as well. I will usually do Catwoman once in that time. I like to go at least a day or a day and a half not in cosplay, because it can get a little overwhelming, especially if you're dressed up as something that is a popular fandom, and a lot of people will ask for your pictures or stop you and want to talk about how you built your cosplay. And so I do like to go like a day and a half or so without being dressed up, because there's a lot of shops. So I spend a lot of money up. There's a lot of shopping you can do.
I can only imagine. But yeah, I guess, taking that break so you can also enjoy it and not be the one taking pictures. But that's so cool that people actually stop you and ask for pictures with you. It's kind of like, in my mind, when you were saying that, I'm like, it kind of reminds me of going to Disneyland Disneyland and wanting a picture with the Disney characters.
Yeah.
But at a Comic-Con or something, what is the proper terminology actually? Sorry.
So Comic-Con is its own convention. So they're just conventions, the sci-fi conventions. So we have, I would love to go to a Comic-Con. I've never actually been to a Comic-Con. Those are big. I think Ottawa has one, and that's one that I really want to go to. But we've got HalCon here in Halifax. That's our biggest one. And there is CaperCon in Cape Breton. We have Spring Equinox, which is also in Halifax. It's kind of a smaller, low-key. It's over the weekend, and that's one of my favorite ones. I love that one because I am able to see a lot of people that I know there, and I'm able to talk to a lot of my friends at that one.
So it's actually, I didn't realize that the eastern provinces actually have a lot of comic or cosplaying enthusiasts.
So New Brunswick has, I think they have more than we have. There's one I haven't had a chance to go to yet, because typically when this one's happening, a pageant's happening at the same time. So it's called Anna Maritime, and it's in New Brunswick, and I want to go to that one really bad. I haven't had a chance to yet.
Well, that's exciting. I'm excited to just see where it takes you. Again, I would love to, maybe if you come to Toronto for a convention, because there are a lot here, you can transform me into someone.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. There is actually, I think it's in Toronto. I think I want to go to it. It's called Pretty Guardians, and it's a Sailor Moon convention.
Ooh, I'd be down to go with you to that one.
Yeah, I want to go really bad. Another thing with conventions too is they get guests to come from the different shows or fandoms. So you have the chance to meet some of the people who actually play the characters that you really like. That's cool.
That's so exciting. I think it's a whole other world in cosplay and in anime. I think that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, next time you're in Toronto, or this gives me a reason to go to Nova Scotia,
Yeah,
we can plan something. But
definitely.
Kristina, you mentioned that you make your own outfits and your costumes. How much time does it take to make a simple Catwoman outfit?
So I did not make my entire Catwoman just because it's a leather suit and I'm not good with sewing. I can do armor. I have recently started doing armor. I'm good at doing armor things. I'm good with props. My Catwoman, I bought the suit. So the leather suit I purchased. And then one of my pageant sponsors, actually, I met her at a convention. She made my cowl for me, so she made that for me, and because I'm not skilled enough with a sewing machine to be able to do that. So her name is Miss Milligan's Millinery and Haberdashery. So she makes a lot of cool hats and period themed things. And when we connected, she thought pageants and were really interesting and agreed to be a sponsor for me for a few pageants. So actually my fashion at Galaxy, she sponsored that. I had a great big black sparkly cape that came off of my dress, so she sponsored me that and made that for me. And so she's made my cowl for me, and I made my gloves. So my gloves with the claws, I did make those, but to collect everything and get the pieces that I need, because it costs a lot of money, it can take a while. I built an armored version of Sailor Moon, and that took me months.
Oh, wow. And usually, how long does it take for you, I guess, to get ready for, let's say, one day of a cosplay?
So it depends who I am. Catwoman doesn't really take that long because I have the pieces. I just throw it on and off I go. Her makeup's relatively simple as well. Sailor Moon, once I had the armor done, she was pretty quick to put on as well. But I did Maleficent. So I had to transform my face to have like the high cheekbones, and I really tried to get the makeup as close to, I did the Angelina Jolie version, so as close to her makeup
the cheekbones and everything.
Yeah, so that one took me a really long time. And then I did Poison Ivy. That one took quite a while to get into as well, because I was trying to put green all over me. So that took quite a while to get into. So it really depends on what you're dressing up as.
That's so cool. And so or I guess because you've been doing this for a few years now, who has been your favorite person to dress up as?
Catwoman has been my main. If anybody asks me who my main character is, it's definitely Catwoman. I do have a few different versions of Sailor Moon, so she's up there as well. I haven't gotten to wear her out yet because the pandemic hit, but I have a Princess Serenity version of her. So I dressed up as her just on my and took a few pictures a few months ago. So they're on my social medias, but I can't wait to actually wear her to a convention.
Oh my gosh. Well, when you do, I do want to see a picture of it because that seems pretty epic.
Yeah, thank you. I will definitely be sharing those.
Yes, please. So let's go back to pageantry for a little bit. So you've been doing pageants for quite a few years now. You've taken some time off. You've experienced both different sides of pageantry in different parts of your life. What's one thing that you've learned about yourself, though, during your pageant journey?
I'm stronger than I give myself credit for. I have had some pretty embarrassing things happen while I'm on stage. Actually, my first national pageant when I was 16, I fell on my face in a bathing suit in heels.
Oh no.
Yeah. I pop back up and I just went,
that's good.
Oh, well.
It happens.
So, very embarrassing, but it didn't really detour me at all. And sometimes when I think that I can't do something, I just prove to myself that that's not the case, and I can. Even at Galaxy, I was just coming off of quite a bad injury when Galaxy hit, and I was determined to get there and push myself through it, and I did, and it was such a great experience.
You definitely couldn't tell. I mean, I was obviously in the Mrs. dressing room a lot because of Theo, Denise's son, but yeah. I mean, you couldn't even tell. Cute. He's so cute.
No.
So
I broke my ankle like a couple months before that.
No way.
So I literally in July I got my cast off, and then from July till September had to try to prepare and get ready. And get all of my appearances in and everything that we needed to do, because I couldn't do it when I had my cast on. And I got my cast off, started physio that day, and then I couldn't wear really good heels, unfortunately, still, and I still can't. I'm working myself back into that.
Well, kudos to you for, putting in all of that, I don't want to say pressure on yourself, but for you to be able to get to where you had to be in such a short amount of time. I know my stepdad I think he broke his ankle. He broke his ankle or his foot. He's got a metal plate in his ankle. So I know the struggle of seeing someone in a cast for such a long time to doing that rehab. I didn't even know that happened to you.
Yeah, I hit it well.
You did.
So actually, when everybody was crowned, I'm not usually an emotional person. So after crowning, I was so overwhelmed because I knew where I had already decided to do Galaxy before the injury. And I think Cindy had mailed my sash and everything. So I was literally waiting on that to start right away, getting into appearances and doing stuff. And so when crowning happened, I was just so overwhelmed and so happy that I just broke down in tears.
Well, I'm so happy that, you still had the experience that you wanted. It was such a great pageant. I think the year that we competed together, obviously in different divisions, it was such a great group of women and girls.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, if you did your appearances in a cast, that would have been pretty epic too. If you were on a stage in a boot, I mean, girl, you do you.
When they told me it was broken, because I argued with them, I was like, no, it's not broken. But when they told me it was broken, I was like, I have a competition in September. This cast is going to be off in a month.
Well, you know what? You got to do what you got to do. And like I said, if you showed up in a cast, actually, could you even fly with a cast on?
I think so. I don't think there's anything that says you can't.
Okay, well.
That was my first time on a plane, though, so I don't know.
That was your first time in a plane?
I flew when I was a baby, but I don't remember that. Other than that, anytime I've been down to the States or anywhere in Canada, I've always drove. So that was my first time actually in a flight that I remember. And I was very nervous, and Amanda had to calm me down.
Well, at least you had Team Nova Scotia with you. I know we miss the Team Nova Scotia that we had this year, but there's so many other girls. There's a lot of people actually competing at Galaxy this year. So
yeah, there's a lot of people this year.
I'm grateful I'm not competing.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the people who were in my division, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to do that this year. That would be. It's a tough division this year.
It is. The Mrs. division, oh my goodness. Whoever takes the crown in any division, they're all worthy of it. So we'll
Definitely.
see what happens. But
yeah.
I'm just excited to see you compete again. You did great on stage. I mean, I rewatched Galaxy over and over again to see how people did. And I think you did amazing. So I know you're going to kill it at your next pageant.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Just keep your ankles intact from now until then, please.
So I actually decided, because I'm determined to get into a bit of a higher heel, I'm starting physio again next week. So I'm actually going to start going back to physio to see if I can't get it to the shape that I need to get it to by the time June hits.
Perfect. Well, you're going to get there. We have a year. Don't worry. It's all going to happen. But a question that I do like asking a lot of my guests, I mean, you've been competing for a few years now. What would you say is your dream title to, if you had any title, no matter how old you were, what would be your dream title to have? It's a tricky one.
It is. So many really great systems. I've always really liked Galaxy. That is definitely Galaxy International would be one of them. I've always really liked that system. Of course, Ms. North America would be amazing.
Yes.
But I wish that by the time I found out about really started to get back into competing, that I had known more about the Miss Universe pageant, because I would have loved to go for Miss Universe Canada. But now I'm too old, so I can't. But there's a Mrs. I know that, yeah.
I was just going to say there's a Mrs. Universe, so I mean, anything is possible. But regardless of what pageant you do, whether you continue to do pageants or not, I know that you are going to do well in anything. Um, Quick question. It just came to my head because we're talking about all the things that you do. Has there ever been a pageant based off cosplaying?
Not that I know of.
You should do something about that.
I should. You just gave me an idea. We'll see what I can come up with.
I just thought about it because we're talking about how similar they are. I mean, there's different conventions out there where, like you said, that you take out your best cosplay outfit on the last day with all these competitions. Why not do a pageant based off of cosplay?
I'll have to research that to see if there actually is. I haven't heard of any, but there might be.
Because I feel like it goes hand in hand sometimes. Like some of the skills, we talked about earlier, dressing up, getting all glammed up, or down, depending on who you're dressing up as, presenting yourself. You get lots of great pictures. You meet a lot of fans. You have a great network. It seems like they're all in the same realm.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there for sure.
For sure. So Janice McGregor, she just jumped on. So she is a huge fan of Elvis. She was a guest on the show, and all she did was gush about Elvis. So she just said, I'll cosplay as Elvis.
Definitely, you should. That would be amazing.
I would love to see that. Janice, please make it happen. Honestly, okay, so Kristina, if you create this pageant cosplay world, there's going to be people there who will sign up.
And I think it would be great because it would be very inclusive. It would be all about inclusion and just maintaining that, being your authentic self. So that you just gave me an idea. I'll see what I can do with that.
You heard it here first. I gave her the idea. Okay, nobody take this. This is her role. I mean, not her role. This is her project. Nobody take it. If you do, we all heard it here first.
There's been a bunch of the smaller virtual pageants pop up, so I could always do something charity based and have cosplay as a component just to get a feel for it anyway and see how much interest there would be.
Oh my god, yes. I will tune in for that for sure. Well, Kristina, as we start to wrap things up, is there anything else that you'd like to talk about or share with the audience tonight?
How has your preparation been going for Galaxy International? I know you've had a bit of an extended reign because of COVID, so you've had a lot of extra time. Do you think it's made a big difference, or how are you feeling about that?
I think it's definitely made a huge difference because my mind kind of drifted away from pageant preparation for a little bit, just as most of us have, because we were so focused, like, okay, Galaxy is happening, it's going to happen in July or August of last year, and then the pandemic pushed it to this year, so we're like, okay, we can breathe a little bit. And then obviously when you breathe a little bit, you kind of just binge watch all your favorite shows and snack all day. And I was okay, now I need to get into the mindset of pageantry. And I think what helped, and you're gonna laugh, and I think people who are watching this are gonna be like, what the heck, what actually helped motivate me to go back into pageant mode was binge watching RuPaul's Drag Race.
Love that show.
I love it. And so that kind of got me back into like, okay, you know what, let's be the superstar that we know that we are, and start getting back into pageant mode. And then the announcement was made again, oh, it's being postponed another year. So I'm like, okay. So I think because Galaxy Nationals, or Canada Galaxy Nationals, is just around the corner, that's given me more of a tunnel vision to prepare. And then having this show, having all these amazing women, a lot of them are Galaxy, a lot of them are not, and just hearing their stories and being inspired by them kind of kicks me in the butt a little bit to prepare even more.
Being around it gives you that bug.
It does. And it's like, I see all these people who are competing in new pageant systems, and I'm like, I want to do it too, but I can't. So I just live.
Cool ones that have just seemed to pop up too.
I know, and I was talking to Elizabeth. I know she's watching, but I remember telling her I feel like there's a new pageant every day,
Yeah.
and I can't do any of them.
Sometimes I think the fact that a lot of it has had to go virtual has really helped that too.
For sure. And everyone's now caught a little bit of a creative bug as well. So the different like with Grateful Givers, having to write an essay on what beauty means to each person. I read
Yeah.
it and I was like, wow, I thought I knew what beauty was. And then you read like 30 essays and you're like, just kidding. I did not know what
Yeah.
beauty was.
That was my favorite part about that one, actually.
It's such a great idea, and it's such a great refresher as well as a judge to read it and to see people's perspective of what an essay is and to what beauty is to them. So it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Janice says everything that's said comes here from. It's true. Okay, so everything that comes off of this show. So I do ask a lot of people like, oh, what? For example, Elizabeth Marnock. I was like, oh, what would be your dream title? And then she said it, and then a few months, or not even a few weeks later, she announced that that was her new title. So a lot of things that come on or have been said on this show come into I can't say the word. People just people just manifest on the show, and it happens. So
I'm all about the manifesting.
so be careful what you say, apparently, is what Janice is trying to say. So she says, there's going to be a cost pageant one day. Yes.
Oh, yeah. If there isn't already, then, like I said, I've got the idea in my brain now.
There you go. We're going to manifest everything together. Thank you, Janice, for reminding me. This show has been like this manifestation of things, and I love it. Well, Kristina, it's been so great catching up with you. It's been a few years since, well, obviously because of the pandemic, that we've seen each other, and I love just being able to talk because obviously during Galaxy, we see each other, we talk here and there, but we don't actually just sit down and get to know each other.
Yeah.
So I love that. Okay, so Jana says, we're expecting a cost pageant from you now. Sorry. No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
But thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know you are an hour ahead, so it is getting a little late over there. Or you just might want to start playing video games. I don't know. But thank you for
later, but I might go to bed actually.
Well, there you go. But thank you so much for spending your hour with us. It's honestly been a pleasure getting to know you a little bit more and tapping into not just gaming and cosplay, but tapping into who you are. And thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. I really love this. This is great.
You're so welcome. And I know you said this is your first time doing something like this. Girl, you got to do it more often.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, again, thank you, Kristina, for joining us. Like I said to everyone earlier, the links are in the description, so please follow her. And to everyone who's watching, if you enjoyed this conversation, if you want to see a cost pageant come out of this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe as we go live every Monday and Wednesday for the Pageant Sit Down. Kristina, thank you again so much for being here. I wish you all the best of luck next summer, as well as your recovery for your ankle, because we know you want to be in these tippy tops as well.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I'll see you soon. Hopefully, I go there and finally visit the Atlantic bubble, or you come to Toronto and you transform me into Sailor Moon. I don't know. But I do wish... Yes. Okay, let's do it. You all heard it here first. It's going to happen now that you've said it on the show. Well, thank you again so much to yourself, Kristina, but everyone for tuning in. I will see you all on Wednesday. Bye.